way back in the early 70s, I went to see this stage hypnotist, and his name was Peter Casson. And I looked him up, I did a search on him, and sure enough, I found some information on him. And so I'll leave a link in the description box. And he could make people pretty much believe anything once he put them under. And when I watched him, he got a load of people up on stage, hypnotized them, made them think a variety of things, or told them that they were this, that, or the other. And he told one woman that she was a chicken, and that every time he said chicken, she had to behave like a chicken. And that was her trigger word. And sure enough, every time he went in front of her and said chicken, and she'd run around the stage flapping her arms like they were chicken wings and clucking and clucking and clucking. And little did I know then that all these decades later, I'd end up thinking of the average modern woman like that. They're hypnotized, brainwashed, entranced, indoctrinated, call it what you will, but the trigger word for them to make them behave like headless chickens isn't chicken, it's men. The second the average woman hears the word men, she starts smirking and sniggering. She either becomes spiteful and hateful, or she grins and she sniggers, and she says something childish. I've been in the company of groups of women, and the second one of them says something about her husband derogatory, they all start giggling and grinning, and they all start doing the same thing. They're just fucking stupid, childish. So does the modern woman deserve marriage? Because they're even worse than the mothers that bred them. They're even worse. No, my answer is no, they do not. And furthermore, not all of them. Like, there are loads of good, decent women out there who are very choosy about the men they pick. But I saw a survey on women from New York City, and by the age of 25, on average, they've had sex with 30 men. Now, most women don't start thinking about marriage these days until they're in the late 20s, possibly 30. How many men have they had sex with then? 40, 50, 60? Who the hell wants them? And what's the bloody point? I mean, they just attach the vagina to the man's penis, they get their claws on his wallet, that's all they seem to bloody well care about, and then they're so divorce happy. And I saw a divorce lawyer, a woman divorce lawyer, on a morning TV program one day, and even she was completely cynical about women. She said when they walk down the aisle, they have one eye on the wedding cake and the other eye on the divorce proceedings. And of course, once women have become divorced, they're martyred by the media, the man-hating media, that turns single mothers into martyrs and victims, whereas in actual fact they're a financial millstone around the country's neck. And if you look at all the disadvantages that children from single mother families have, I'll try and find a link about that and stick that in the description box as well. But anyway, so women hypnotized, brainwashed. There was a Soviet defector, Yuri Bezmenov. I'll leave a link to him as well. And he explained that the indoctrination of a nation took between 15 to 20 years. And he said once you've brainwashed a person, you can shower that person with the truth, and they cannot see it until you put them in a gulag. And women love believing, I've said this before, they love to believe that they're living in Solzhenitsyn's the Gulag Archipelago. They love to see themselves as victims. They don't want to be victims, they just enjoy partaking in the feminist victim Olympics. And being divorced is part of this. And I've had another theory, I can't prove this, but when one woman gets divorced, and she'll tell all her friends how marvellous divorce is, like a heroin addict trying to spread their addiction so they don't feel so bad and shitty being on their own. And I'll bet they tell all their friends, and then they do it because it's trendy. I mean, that's what women are like these days. They don't take marriage seriously, and they sure as hell don't. If you don't take men seriously, which they don't, how the hell can they suggest that they take marriage seriously? And what man with any kind of dignity in his 30s wants to get married to a woman who's had more cocks inside her than a 100-year-old hen has? And for any women listening to this, I'm going to stay on that poultry theme, because with MGTOW now spreading all over the Western world like a I almost said a disease, like a beautiful movement. All your man-hating chicken shit is coming home to roost. And if you carry on behaving like headless chickens, and you're so stupid that you can't actually do some research on the internet and find out the truth about equal pay, domestic violence, rape on college campuses, and above all what goes on in the divorce system and how domestic violence is used today. And I know I keep going on about it, and I'm going to continue to go on about it. The domestic violence industry complements the divorce industry, and it is false claims of domestic violence and the domestic violence industry, aided and abetted by the media, feminist organisations, and of course politicians, which is destroying the family in this country. I keep going on longer than I actually want to, so I think I'm going to finalise this, and I'm going to come back to it anyway. But some of the animals that women love comparing men to: rats, dogs, pigs, snakes, apes, and anything nasty they can think of. Well, let me tell you something, women. Rats, dogs, pigs, snakes, and apes, as far as I'm aware, don't have any trouble breeding. They don't have any problems, and the female of the species is the only female of the species in the entire animal kingdom that not only can't get married, but and have children. They're so stupid they can't even work out why. And when you tell the stupid bitches divorce, they just won't listen, because they have been brainwashed, hypnotised, and indoctrinated into not trusting a word that men tell them. They just bury their heads straight back in their magazines, straight back in the female supplements of newspapers. They watch bullshit daytime debate shows. They listen to liars posing as experts in relationships. They are not. They are experts in lying. They're professional manipulators and liars. And if, ladies, you think you're so fucking clever, then how come these rats, dogs, pigs, and snakes and apes, how come they don't need to consult magazines every month and just pore over bullshit articles, give them an advice? Well, women love calling men rats. A rat doesn't need to be educated on how to breed. Nothing of the sort. Rats just continue to breed like vermin. And I hate to have to say it, ladies, but one of the reasons you can't breed these days is because you are behaving like fucking vermin. So knock it off and start to show some respect.